welcome to another video. Today, we are back playing the card that probably deserves a ban the most. You know what it is, you know what's coming. It's Jerry Beans Man. And this hand is perfect because we have Jerry Beans Man in it. There's really nothing else you could ask for. Flawless Perfection of Tenyi has great synergy with the Jerry Beans Man. Since if our opponent special summons a monster while Jerry Beans Man is on the field, we get to Pot of Greed. So this is really like a once per turn Pot of Greed. We don't get the cards right away. He also makes our Jerry Beans Man unaffected by monster effects, which is pretty great. Jerry Beans doesn't need it, but it's nice. You know, it's a nice to have. Opponent is thinking about responding to with a Max C. Let's just force him to use that Max C. We don't want him to have it forever. Not much we can do. We can normal summon the Jerry Beans Man, leave our field empty, but I think it's worth forcing that Maxi out of the opponent's hand here. We're only going to give him one card. Opponent thinking about activating the Maxi. Opponent. You don't even know to be afraid. He doesn't know to be afraid of the Jerry Beans Man yet. We'll allow the fear to continue. Our opponent just spent 20 seconds thinking about whether or not to activate that Maxi. Luckily, they finally activated it, so we can get on with this duel. Tenyi Spirit's going to summon itself in defense mode. Very good. Let's summon the Jerry Beans Man. Jerry Beans Man get attack mode. And now we can activate. Opponent is thinking. Alright, now we get to search for a Tenyi, add it to our hand, and send one to the graveyard. Since Jerry Beans Man is on the field, we get both effects. Jerry Beans Man, more evidence that it's broken. I don't know what, I keep saying Konami, ban this card. Every tournament I make a Jerry Beans Man deck and it's busted. We're just going to pass here. We don't need to summon any more monsters. Now the Jerry Beans Man is on the field, our field is perfect. We'll just pass to the opponent here. Our Tenyi Spirits are very handy because if opponent does anything to Jerry Beans Man, we can use our Tenyi Spirits to protect the Jerry Beans Man. Opponent, what are you doing? Opponent going to think. Well, I'll skip the thinking. Opponent, summoning a Rescue Cat. Special summoning two monsters. Well, this is going to activate our Flawless Perfection. We're going to get to draw two. Pot of Greed. Opponent, once they choose the monsters from their deck. 3 minutes have passed. Opponent finally has decided to summon. They're playing Tri-Brigade. Now people are saying, oh, Tri-Brigade is so great. Well, how about Pot of Greed? Draw two. Opponent thinking about responding here. Opponent does not respond. We get to draw two. Pot of Greed. Our little Jerry Bean is unaffected by monster effects, so if opponent tries to do any monster effect related things, Jerry Beans Man will be safe. If our Jerry Beans Man gets destroyed, Tenyi Spirit Shithana, that's the blue one, will special summon Jerry Beans Man back onto the field and destroy one of our opponent's monsters, which is very handy. Just taking a look at my extra deck here. We got some Tenyi monsters. Opponent is thinking very hard. Let's let them think. Fast forward to when they start doing stuff. Opponent finally deciding to summon into a Fairjet. Fairjet will let them special summon from the hand, and their Tri-Brigade is going to activate in the graveyard. Thinking about making a Blackluster Soldier in the future. Blackluster Soldier, Soldier Chaos. Really good with a Tenyi Vishuda, because you get a level 7 on the field. You can make him. He cannot be targeted, and can't be destroyed by card effects if you use a level 7 to make him. Opponent is adding to hand. They're going to special summon, presumably. Tri-Brigade usually sets up a Tri-Brigade Revolt on the field, and then they special summon Shurig on your turn and start banishing monsters. But luckily our Jerry Beans Man cannot be banished because he's unaffected by monster effects, thanks to the little field spell we got going on. Opponent finally going to activate an effect. Special summoning the monster they searched for. It's the Tri-Brigade Karis. They can use this to banish Tri-Brigades from their graveyard to special summon the Shurig from their deck. Are they going to do it? They're thinking very hard. Opponent's gonna run out the clock if they're not careful. 3 years have passed. My opponent has finally decided to summon their next monster. Jerry Beans Man is this is an effective Jerry Beans Man that's not written on the card, but once you play him, it incurs the emotional damage effect onto your opponent, and they are just trapped mentally. They're trying to figure out, how do I get out from under the Jerry Beans Man, and that just mental strain can cause them, to make mistakes, to run out of time. Opponent making a Another monster here. Not sure why they made that transcode talker. Don't have any Cyberse monsters, so they can't summon anything from the graveyard with it. Let's see if our opponent has any other moves. Vishuda in hand. Oh, there we go. Opponent has another Karis. They're going to special summon that Karis onto the field. Is opponent going to set Revolt? Usually Tread Brigade has to search for Revolt. There's a Link monster that searches for it, but opponent has not used it yet. Possible they have the Revolt in hand already. There is a set card, almost certainly Revolt. Opponent is going to battle. Not attacking the Jerry Beans Man, that is sensible. Opponent, are you going to attack Jerry Beans Man? Opponent going to attack Jerry Beans Man. Now, we could just activate the green Tenyi to boost Jerry Beans Man's attack points, but we're going to let him die. To show how immortal he is going to get special summoned back from the graveyard with the Shatana. Special summon that Jerry Beans Man. Jerry Beans slash. Gonna pop a monster on the field. Pop that transcode talker. Opponent, you got any second main phase plans? Opponent is clearly stunned. They did not think that Jerry Beans Man could do such a thing. They are going to main phase 2. See, Jerry Beans Man doesn't have any effects written on him, but we all know the mental effect we talked about, emotional damage. Opponent is passing. Alright, it's our turn. Let's get going. We draw another Tenyi Spirit, very helpful. Now, our goal here is going to make another monster in addition to the Jerry Beans Man. We don't need another monster, but it'll make things go by faster. Let's special summon the Vishuda here. Just kidding. Let's go with Adhara. I think Adhara is the right choice because if our opponent does something, we can use the Vishuda to send their extra deck monster back to the hand. So let's keep the Vishuda in hand and special summon either the Adhara or the Shatana. And in the graveyard, we do have the other Tenyi, the yellow one, and that'll special summon from the deck. So let's go with the Adhara, special summon him in defense mode. See if opponent has a response, maybe another Max C. We're not super concerned if opponent has Max C because we could just do similar line to last turn where we just let Jerry Beans Man take care of everything. Let's let the opponent think here. Opponent is done thinking. Let's special summon. Jerry Beans Man emotional damage is clearly weighing a toll on the opponent. They are doing a lot of thinking. Let's special summon the Monk of the Tenyi using our freshly summoned Adhara. And now that we have no effect monsters on the field, we can special summon another Tenyi from the hand. We could also activate our effect in the graveyard. Opponent is thinking some more. Alright, let's special summon the Shatana from the hand. Since Tri-Brigade deck banishes, destruction protection isn't super important, and the Shatana will be back in the graveyard afterwards, so we're not too worried here. And now let's activate in the graveyard the effect of the Ashuna. Ashuna gonna special summon a worm monster from the deck. And we are locked into worms for special summoning, but we can still normal summon Jerry Beans Mans. Special summon that Mahura from the deck. That will, if our opponent chooses to target a non-effect monster, will negate the effect. And now let's special summon our bad boy, the Berserker. Berserker is a 3000 attack normal monster. Special summon him. Now, usually see Tenyis played alongside Sword Soul, but the actual Tenyi deck is quite fun on its own. Opponent thinking about doing something. Let's go to battle. We'll deal with the board main phase 2 if our opponent manages to clean anything up, but our monsters are unaffected by monster effects, so we're not too worried here. Keep that green Tenyi effect to boost attack points to Jerry Beans Man if we need it. His attack is satisfactory though. Opponent, using that revolt, finally gonna special summon 4 monsters from their graveyard and then link into a link 4. This will also activate the effect of our Flawless Perfection, so we get to pot of greed here. And if our opponent makes the Shurig, our monsters cannot be banished by Shurig. So we'll get to attack over the Shurig, use our Vishuda to send any monsters to hand if we need to, and we got that Imperm we can set. Opponent summoning 4 monsters. Jerry Beans Man attack is very powerful. Let's see if that emotional damage attack of Jerry Beans Man inflicts enough damage to the opponent that, it sends them straight to the Shadow Realm. Opponent thinking about that revolt, linking into A concession. Opponent. The emotional damage of Jelly Bean finally KO'd our opponent. Alright, well that was great. Let's go on to the next game. As is tradition, I will have the full Jerry Beans Man deck list at the end of the video. Now this hand's great. We got Unexpected Die. We can special summon a Jerry Beans Man straight from the deck. Let's get going. Opponent, gonna Ash Blossom. They sensed something. There was fear in their heart. They knew Jerry Beans Man was coming. But it's okay, we got a second one. Jerry Bean from the hand. We don't need to use him yet. Let's Adhara special summon the Monk of the Tenyi. Now we can normal summon Jerry Beans Man and activate that vessel for the dragon. Cycle. Sending a Tenyi Spirit to the graveyard, the blue one, and adding the red one to hand. Special summon again. Make the Shaman of the Tenyi. Shaman can activate, discard the Vishuda. Special summon the Vishuda from the graveyard and link into Berserker. So it doesn't look like we have much defense here. These are both normal monsters, but as in the last game, we got all our protection in the graveyard. Opponent making a huge mistake here using the Kaiju, but they use it on the Berserker instead of the Jerry Beans Man. Big mistake, opponent. Let's see if it comes back to bite. You activating Magical Musket, banishing 3 cards from the graveyard. Now, that is actually a very good effect in this exact very specific scenario. Not sure how useful that card would be most of the time, but banishing our Vishuda, Adhara, and Mapura from the graveyard is a huge deal. Not sure why they left the Shathana. Maybe not taking Jerry Beans Man seriously. Opponent summoning Magical Musketeer Max. Adding a Magical Musket spell to the hand. Lets him target a monster, make its attack 0. Changing the turn here. Let's special summon the Shathana. Link to into the Masquerena. Use our Jerry Beans Man. Probably a mistake to make a Berserker. We'll live with the mistake here. Attack the Magical Musketeer. Opponent gonna make our attack 0. Berserker gets destroyed, but our Shathana's gonna resummon it. Special summon him. Back to the field. We get to attack again. Just kidding. Pop the monster with the effect of the Shathana. Then attack for 3,000. Alright, opponent. You better hope you draw some very magical cards to get out of this spot. Jerry Beans Man is coming back. We got 2 Jerry Beans Mans left in the deck. Let's activate that vessel for the Dragon Cycle. Opponent got an Ash Blossom. Stalling for another turn. Alright, opponent. Alright. You can live for another turn. Let's get attacking with the Berserker. It is a Maxi. Get that disgusting cockroach out of here. Do not disgrace my Jerry Beans Man with your cockroaches. Now, this deck is absurdly broken. I don't recommend trying it. If you try this deck, be prepared. Just be prepared for the emotional damage you will be inflicting on your opponents. It should be some sort of crime. I think this is a crime what I'm doing right now. Where's Jerry Beans Man? He's safe in the graveyard. Opponent activating a Raigeki. Gonna pop our Berserker the Tenyi. We got another Shathana in the graveyard though, so he's coming back onto the field. Not deterred. Opponent setting another card face down. Opponent in turtle mode. Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi is very good here. Let us negate a spell trap card or monster effect. Since we control a face-up non-effect monster, that includes Jerry Beans Man. Opponent, what do you got? Ending the turn with no plays. We draw Unexpected Die. If we didn't have a monster, we could summon the Jerry Beans Man, but we're just going to get lethal. Alright. Showing off the power of Jerry Beans Man. Let's go on to the next game. Now, as I said before, Jerry Beans Man does have an effect to inflict enormous emotional damage onto the opponent. Let's special summon Vishuda here. Link off into the Monk of the Tenyi. Summon that Shathana from hand. Activate the Vessel. Vessel gonna send red and add yellow to hand. Red to the graveyard. And as soon as we normal summon Jerry Beans Man, opponent concedes. And I told you, Jerry Beans Man's emotional damage effect is probably his most powerful effect. Alright, hope you enjoyed today's gameplay. Let's go on to the deck list. Alright, here is that beautiful Jerry Beans Man deck. If you are still playing the Link Festival, you can definitely give this a shot. Not only is Jerry Beans Man super powerful, it's a very economy friendly deck. Very budget friendly. No URs in the main deck other than staple traps and spells, which you definitely already have, but aren't required to play this deck. And in the extra deck, there's only there's a few URs. Some of them are generic, but most of the extra deck monsters are N rarity. So you can play this deck very easily. You don't really need Draco Master 10 yet. I crafted him, but he never ended up being super useful, so not necessarily worth making. Access code, obviously great. Never made him either. And Underworld Goddess, another great monster to steal opponent's links. Also excellent. Same for IP and Blackluster Soldier. You can throw these in here if you have them, but you can play this deck without them. It's very, very budget friendly, so be sure to give this deck a try. But be aware, you are committing war crimes by using Jerry Beans Man. Konami, ban him, alright? It's been long enough. I'm sorry for ruining the Link Festival with this deck, but, had to be done. Alright, hope you liked today's video, and I'll see you next time. Have a good night.